Hi everyone, Paul International Scale Modeller. Welcome to part 5 of the 148th Great Wall Hobby F-15 build. Where we were at last time, we got the engine intake sorted, glued together, we got the lower section of the fuselage together. What else did we do? I think that was about it last time. But we got this done seamless with the old Flexifile touch and flow system, so very happy with that. What we plan to do today is we'll get some of the upper fuselage assembled, sort out these intakes, which we've done a little bit of work off camera. I'll show it in a minute, and then we'll continue on through the instructions and I'll explain what I'm going to do. So what I've done off camera, if I go to overhead, is we had to choose whether we're having the intake vents in the downward state or the upward state. I believe they should be in the downward state when the aircraft's on the ground. I don't quite like the look of that, so mine are going to be in upwards. Whether it's right or wrong, I don't care. It's how I'm going to model it. I prefer the F-15 looking like that. So we've had to choose a couple of options, which is these. So H2, H1, and it's I3, I4 if you're going for the downward state. But we've gone for that one. We put on the ailerons and the flaps onto the wings. Bit weird this, there's a couple of locating pins. I've already glued these on. So these are them here. There's a locating pin there and there, which to me looks like they're supposed to move, but there's nothing to hold it here. So I thought, right, so I glued them in position and left them be. So they're glued in there. Just a little bit of cleanup requires a little bit of glue come through. Get all of our sanding sticks on it. Job done. And these are those intake vents which are closed up, as you can see there. Right, what else have we done off camera? We've cut off the hump from behind the canopy. I've test fitted. I've had all this roughly together just to test it to make sure everything fits. Like I say, we'll get to hopefully maybe even glue it together today. We'll see how we go. Now last time, you may remember, we had these intake vents. Now there's a seam just down there, if you can see it, all the way down, and I did say I was going to try and use some plastic hard strip, which I have done. Now easy way of doing it is that, or you could fill it, sand it, etc. But for me it's a bit of hard work. So what we've done, I've done one of them here, and I've done both of them on this one, is we've got some plastruct plastic hard like this stuff. See how thin it is. We got a rough measurement from the exterior like so. As long as we got the downward curve right, we were fine. We then slid it in. As long as it stopped protruding, that was fine. A bit of extra thin, let it set. Pushed it on the edges there so it dried right on the edges there. Trimmed it off, sanded the edges, and I've actually chamfered them. It's not the neatest looking thing, but you can barely see it through the intakes, but you can see the seams are really bad. So that's why I did that. So the way I did it, I've done 3 and left this one off for now. As you can see, we've got one on there. I haven't chamfered it yet. So as you can see, there's quite a bad seam in there. I don't know if you can see it properly. And like I said, I just literally roughly cut it to the shape. And like I said, because as long as you get the downward shape right, it should fit in and hopefully leave a little bit overhanging like so. So that's how we go. So all we're going to do is glue it in, cut this off, chamfer the edges, job done. So it's just a case of getting it in there like so. As you can see, it doesn't need to go all the way down because you can't see it all the way down. Bit of extra thin. Touch it. I touched it at the top, halfway down, and then ran the brush up, let the capillary action take it down. Same on the bottom. Coming a little bit closer for you guys. So the Tamiya extra thing all the way down. Then run the brush up to smooth it down. Then as you can see, we're left with a little bit just here that needs sorting out. So we did there, we just pushed it in. A little bit extra thin. I'm putting quite a bit on because I wanted the capillary action to take it down. I then got my knife on the back edge, put it in, just press down, not hard. We're just trying to make sure we get the extra thin fully in there and set. Right up to the edge. Until we get it where we want it. So there we go, maybe a little bit more. Just along this top edge. So we're happy. It's a little bit there actually. A little bit of a bubble of plastic there where we've pressed a little bit too hard, and there we go. As you can see, it's in there, flush to the edge, leave that to one side, we'll trim it off, sand it down, chamfer the edge again, job done. So they just fit in position. We'll get those in position in a little bit. What I've also done is I've assembled the left hand intake, 4 parts, fit together rather well, not bad at all. And I've got one to do here just to show how I did it. Now, one thing was a bit disconcerting. I got the amendment sheet with mine, obviously, because mine was nearly release, and it actually amends this part here, and it actually says that it's not H3. All the other parts are the same, but this one's H1, which is actually that part there. So the amendment's actually wrong, and the actual instructions are right. So a bit weird. Don't know why, but so be it. Like I say, the parts have been tidied up, sanded off. I need a little bit more just there. And it's just a case of extra thin along the edge until we get each part. As such, you keep looking at your instructions, double check everything. Obviously, when they're handed like this, make sure you go to the right side. I'm going to pop this part in first. You may notice, well, I hope you can anyway, I've got new studio lights. I've got a couple of giant ones behind me. Lee got the same one, so if you're on Facebook, you've probably seen Lee post pictures of his up to like 2 foot high, 1.5 foot wide, and they give out a hell of a lot of light. In fact, it's quite dazzling in here for me. Hopefully that translates onto video for you guys and makes it a bit easier to see stuff, because it can be dark around the edges. I think I've got plenty of light on the actual workbench, but the light around the edges and obviously on my hands can be a little bit dark from time to time. So hopefully that'll make a bit of difference. Other thing I've done today, I've zoomed in the front camera, so hopefully I'll remember to zoom in and keep stuff like this in shot so you can get the overhead view and this one as well. Whether that'll work out, I don't know, because I've got a terrible habit of taking my hands out of shot. So as you can see, those 2 parts just assembled there. So it's forming like a ramp, and then these is a locating slot there for that protruding part that holds it in position. Now what I did then on the other one is don't hold your hand around the back as the glue does go through, because there is a gap there. It's not particularly substantial, but it is there, and I found just run a bead along to hold it just to that top part there, this one. And then if we get our fingers away, make sure your fingers are dry. Get that part and then squeeze it together like so. Don't press too hard. We don't really want any molten plastic like that. I'm going to run that off quickly. Get that a buff up later to get rid of any residual glue. Put this on quite thick here, not thick enough that it comes flying through the other side, and then it's a case of holding it just where we want it. Shouldn't need any clamping. We'll leave that on there, that molten plastic. Get that later with a sander. So there's one side done, and the other bit's here. It's a case of exactly the same, but this part's a little bit longer. If we get it in position, glue the top, turn it around, do the bottom, exactly the same. We should get a nice strong bond. A little bit of glue come through there. It's a lovely kit. Everything we've worked on so far has fitted lovely. The only thing I had to do on this left intake was take a little bit off the back and just give that chamfer bit a little bit more, just to get it to fit. It just didn't quite go in position. Like I say, I've dry fitted a few of these bits. I do it off camera just to check, you know, progression of the kit and how we're doing and what have you. So if you don't want to see me gluing all this together, well, I hope you don't. I think it'd be extremely boring. An extremely long video build. One thing I do like, the parts, I've got the curvature built in on the end, which is really nice. Shows your attention to detail. Once you're happy that it's all together, what it did then was the old upside down tell me a trick and just run it underneath to make sure we've got all the glue we need. there and help smooth off any parts. Like I say, we'll get this in a bit of a buffer. Get any excess off, have a quick look, make sure you're happy, everything's filled the way you want it, and then put it to one side. So we'll pop that over there. What we'll do now is we'll trim off this. So double check, yeah, it looks fine to me. And all I did was with my knife, shouldn't really do it this way, was just get rid of the majority of the excess, which in one fell swoop I've got it all off. Make sure you're happy with it, just get any excess there like so, and then what we're going to do, get that little bit there we go, put a little bit more glue, make sure we haven't got too much, just in there. And again, oh God, chucked the knife at myself and I stabbed myself in the chest. Just push that outer edge out. Going to be sanding this a little bit anyway. In fact, I'm going to use my finger. There we go. Straight in, and then it's a case of, we'll leave that side to dry. I'm just going to tidy up this edge. And all I did was just UMP thinny stick on like a 35-degree angle. Just to chamfer that edge, just so when you look down through the intake you don't see the thickness of the plastic. It is a really thick plastic. In fact, I've got it here still from before, so it is real. It's probably 1/2 mil, I'd say. As you see, it's a well-used piece, but it's really thin, so it was ideal for the use it requires. Like I say, I'm just chamfering it so you can't look through the front and you see the square end, which you could see on the other part as well. Just a little bit wet to dry. Oh no, we're fine. Give this a sand as well. It's still a little bit wet, but it's not a problem. If you wanted to, you could, you know, sand all the sides, but you're not going to see them, so there's no point really. Again, going for the instructions, I'll explain what we're going to do, and I'm going to put this to one side to dry. Like so, we'll add a bit more later, we will. So they're done. We've got both intakes done. One's drying, one already is dry from earlier this afternoon. We've got the hump from behind the fuselage, sorry, the nose, which fits in just like so. Very nice. So that's been cut off, cleaned up, ready to go. Dry fitted all this. We've got the upper sections of the fuselage with the ailerons and the flaps on, and the intake covers on. That's all ready to go. It's just all been tidied up on the edges. And we've got the lower half, which we did last time with the nose support. The intakes can be glued in now, actually, to be honest, or give it a little while once I've sanded those edges. And all these bits over here are off a different aircraft. So hopefully we don't get confused, start sticking the engines from an ME262 to the F-15, because that wouldn't be great. Right, instructions. Where we're up to, we did that last time. As you can see, it's where we were last time. What we've done today, they were glued on earlier, as two of those. So they're the ailerons and the flaps. This is what we've done now. So these are the open position, and these are, sorry, the downward position. These are the upward. So this is what we chose. Supposedly amended, but actually was the correct setup in the instructions. Calls for the engines next. We're not doing these next. We'll leave these for a next stage. So what we'll go on to is this, which is putting the lower half to the upper half, putting the hump on, putting the nose in. I'll explain the nose in a little bit. I'm not going to do that in position yet because I think I can put it in and out at once. This leads us on to nose cone, put the intakes on, front part of the canopy, and the engines in. Now I was discussing this with George, who's building this with me this morning. We were on Skype chatting away while I was getting these parts ready for camera, and I'm not sure if the engines can be taken out once they're in, or once they're in that's it, because there are a few parts a bit further on which to me indicate it can't come back out. I can find them, I had them this morning. Lost them now. I'm sure they're there somewhere. Maybe I'm wrong. If they can come back out, then yes. we will take the time, paint them up, detail them up a little bit, alclad them, add a bit of detail, probably the same way I did my F-16. So all this front section will be done in alclad. I'll try and do a couple of different tones, a little bit of a wash in there, highlight some of these other parts, and then the back end I'll do in a Mr. Hobby buffable, probably dark iron or something, because I like the effect it gives together next to each other. If it can't come back out, you could do if you wanted. You could take all the time prepping it. At the end of the day, it's your model, you know it's in there. For me, I can't see the point. If you can't see it, why spend all that time painting it? So if that's the case, we'll just do the burner cans. Nozzles, we'll do those in Mr. Hobby buffable, like I say. So hopefully today we'll get all this together, assembled, looking a bit more like an F-15. There's not too much more to do before we're over paint. Probably another part after this, so we get the tail on, the elevators on, start getting the landing gear together. No, it won't go on yet. Any other components need to go on before paint. The maintenance covers at the front. Rest of the canopy needs masking. Ordnance again at a later date, but we'll probably stick the pylons on ready. Or will we? I think I learnt my lesson last time with the MiG to leave them off because they actually got in the way of weathering. We'll see. But that's where we're at today, and that's what we're going to do. So we're going to skip the engines for today. We're going to try and concentrate on getting maybe the upper and lower fuselage halves buttoned up. So let's see how we're getting on. Which is one we just did? It's this one. That's when I'll chamfer this edge a little bit more. Like I said, there's going to be a lot. Then these can be glued in position. And we can start a little bit in there. Needs a little bit of attention with a bit of excess glue. Got 1200 thinny stick in there. There we go. I'm going to have a drink on camera, which I never normally do. My mouth is really dry. It's really warm today. Cracking day outside. Well, it's gone dull now. Right. So intakes. Again, beautiful fit of the kit. Probably get the wrong side now. Yeah, I knew it would. So they slot in position like so. Like that. Actually hold themselves in position, which is great. But we will give it a little bit of glue, and the way we'll do that is we'll just put it in these holes because it's quite hard to reach. Once it's in, so just a couple of dabs. You can see the locating lugs there and there at the front. Pop one in, pop two in, push them fully home. I'm going to put a little bit of extra thin just there on that seam there. Just up the side, just to hopefully tie it all together. These new lights are working out. It's quite hard. It's absolutely blinding for me because they are right next to me. There's a little bit of heat coming off them as well. As long as it makes your guys' viewing a bit better. It does look a lot brighter. Like I say, it's just whiting out the LCD screens. So I think I have to resort to having my overhead camera on the monitor again so I can simply look up, even that's whited out. So there we go, they're both in position. Glue this in as well. Exciting day for me tomorrow. It's Sunday today, the 10th I think it is. Tomorrow myself and my girlfriend Hannah go for our 20-week scan and hopefully find out the sex of our upcoming baby. So tomorrow's an exciting day. Got that tomorrow afternoon. So we've been looking forward to that for a while. It'll certainly help us with our, I was going to say spending, but not really spending, but help us a little bit with colours and what have you for stuff we're getting. We haven't really gone gender specific at all. What am I doing wrong here? Have I got the wrong side? Yep, idiot. But we would like to get a few bits and bobs that are gender specific. Right. So I'll announce that tomorrow on the forum and on my Facebook page as well, so if anybody's interested, whether you are or aren't, I don't know, we are. That's all that matters. No, I'm joking. So looking forward to that. So if I can get this done today and edited, we should have it up midweek maybe. Right, so if you look down there, those intakes don't look too bad. The edges are seamless. You've got the seam at the bottom there, which isn't really noticeable because it's a flat like panel line seam, whereas the top one was quite bad, to be honest. If I assemble this, you guys can see. So nose slot in there. This hump goes over the top. Now I said before about this. Now as you can see, the gap's not too bad. If I push it fully home, it's better up. But I can get this actually out, and I think once that's glued in, with a little bit of manipulation, I can get the nose back in. So I'm hoping I can glue all this up. The nose will come back out, and I can leave it off while I'm working on it, all the seams and what have you. It'd be very handy if I could. So I've already, let's leave that off for now actually. So I've already test fitted this, and like I said, I sanded a little bit off just to help it fit. I'm being stupid again. Very. So like I say, held, like I said, just needs pushing out because the bottom wants to go in, so pushing it out at the side, on the top, well not too bad. There's a tiny little bit that may need a sprinkling of below thin air filler. Other than that, we're not too bad. So that's that one. I haven't checked this one because you guys have just seen me build it. That one's even better, which is nice. So that's a nice fit. So I think we shall start buttoning up this fuselage. Now all my clamps are in my drawer, and one of my nice new lights, ooh, is not quite in the way. So that's handy. So clothes pegs, burner clamps to the rescue. Get a few elastic bands while we're in there, and a couple of bulldog clips as well, because you never know. Right, let's put those to one side, that to one side. We don't need that yet. I think what we'll concentrate on is getting these buttoned up. Now I think we have a slight gap here, which we might get with the extra thin. The actual wing leading edges are real nice as long as we clamp them. Obviously you've got the hidden section underneath, again clamped, it's going to be fine. Same on this side, wing leading edges is beautiful again. This side we've got a slightly less, well no, it's probably about the same gap on the front, but we'll just put a little bit of filler in there, sand it off, it'll be a fairly quick job. And again, nice seams there. The back isn't too bad, as you can see, apart from this very rear section here. So we'll sort that out. So I think we'll start at the front. And we'll start gluing this bucket together. We'll make sure this is zoomed right out. I think we'll zoom that one out as well. So we're just going to do it upside down like usual. Couple of passes. Give it a little bit of a clamp. We just didn't really get any glue in there at all. It's a bit better. I think we'll actually just do it the old-fashioned way and just chuck the glue in the gap itself. Steady hand. So we'll clamp it all up in a little bit. I think we'll chuck a clamp on there. So, just so we get the leading edge on the wing done. As I go and slip, put a nice thing of glue on the underside of the wing. So again, when you're doing this, if you're touching it anywhere, make sure you wipe your fingers off. Otherwise you end up with glue absolutely everywhere, and it's not what you want because it doesn't look good at all. Obviously if you end up with part of the front that is popping off like this is a little bit, just leave it be, come back to it when you're done. Focus on the parts that aren't being a pig to glue. I have to say that the surface detail on this thing is just absolutely fantastic, really delicate. Got to be really careful where you glue to ensure that you're not going to need to heavily sand it or what have you, because it's such a shame to lose that detail. It really is. But the fine riveting and panel lines are absolutely stunning. Really is a top-notch kit. Just make sure you give it a little clamp from time to time in a few different places. So I think we'll leave that back end clamped, we'll leave that front end for now. We're getting a little bit. Get rid of a burner clamp. What we'll do is we'll concentrate on this side. In fact, I'm not even going to bother gluing that front bit yet. I'm just going to get this wing together. I should have put a peg on this first, but never mind. So, upcoming group build, I've just joined in the Night Fighter SIG on ISM, but a Hobby Boss ME262, which you might see in the news show. A bit of a problem with some super glue kicker that absolutely destroyed the fuselage seams, and I ended up going out buying a new kit. Took my cockpit out, started again. So, not too impressed with that, but not a bad kit at all. Not as good as this, but it's a £16 kit. And to be honest, for 16 quid, really good. Quite impressed. So just started that. I should have that built in 10 to 14 days maybe. And then on the 23rd of May, ISM's D-Day GB starts, which I start building my 132 Tamiya Mustang, which I am really looking forward to starting. I've been dying to build that kit from the very moment I bought it. But other things got in the way, namely the F-15, which is now finished. You've seen that on the new show as well. That was a stunning kit to build. We're going to clamp on that in a little bit. So yeah, looking forward to building that P-51. A few people are joining me, which I'm not going to say just yet because they haven't announced that they're going to be building it with me yet. I know for a fact there's one or two, so that's always nice. It turned into like a little buddy build as such. So the P-51 being one of my favourite planes, I'm going to enjoy that SIG. I was hoping to video build it for the forum, but A, this is taking a bit longer because it's an immense kit, and B, I just don't think I've got the time. I've already got one Tamiya 132 on the go as it is, and they are quite an involved build, so it is going to become, it'll just be a photo build on ISM. Right, okay, so the back end's not bad, a little bit of a gap there, so yeah, 23rd of May, hopefully a lot of you guys are going to join in. All these come on the forum and watch, or if you're watching news show updates, you'll see a monthly update on the P-51. But looking forward to it. Got an aftermarket decal set forward to make it appropriate for D-Day, which is basically just a different scheme with invasion markings on, which I won't be using, I'll be spraying them on. Let's have a peg on that for the grip, which it does. Very nice. Yeah, so really looking forward to that. Be an enjoyable build. Actually, this thing's starting to take shape now a little bit. The Corsair's taking shape as well, so start making them a bit more enjoyable. See if we can get this with one of these clips without destroying everything. Which we can. Yeah, once you start seeing them come together, I lost a bit of mojo on the F4 because cockpit and engine were such long parts for me to build. I did kind of lose steam a little bit on it, but seeing it coming together with the wings and what have you gave me a little bit of my mojo back, which is good. Still need that there. So we can nick that and put it on there like so. It's better. So what I find with this, don't try and glue it on one go, just get key parts glued. You can always come back once you've unclamped it all, start getting some other parts together. Especially when your clamps keep falling off like that. Where did that one come from? It was in the back there, wasn't it? Yeah, it's getting quite good there, so we'll clamp there like so. Can't get the extra thin in. I think we're just going to be one continuous film today because the way I've planned it is quite well. I'm normally cutting in and out while things are drying, but I think I did enough work off camera to get it where I wanted it. Got a clip on there, right? Can we get the peg on? Not really, no, so we're going to have to glue it and hold it, or elastic band it. So the seams are cleverly thought out on these. These front ones are probably the only ones that are going to get a little bit of attention, a little bit of filler on. These back ones, for the most part, right at the very back, will be hidden by the elevator, so shouldn't be too much of a drama to do. So it shouldn't be too bad at all. I know it's going to look, hopefully it's going to look good once it's built, because it seems to be a great kit. Do another peg. Grip. I really need to glue some rubber bits to these. I always forget to do it, and every time I think I should glue some rubber to these. We'll hold it for a sec. So yeah, it shouldn't be too much of a hard build. This, hopefully, starting to come together like I say, and it's, you know, it's a nice kit, fits very well. Like so, all the seams are all thought out, there's no ejector pin marks in the way. Instructions are nice and clear, apart from that amendment being wrong, which is a bit strange. Shouldn't be too bad, so let's just double check all those back seams, they are done. Tidy those up, maybe a little bit of a layer of filler in there, just using a nozzle to get it in cleanly, and I just want to try and get these front ones closed properly. So, don't think we'll get a peg on there. I'd be surprised if we can. Not a hope in hell. To be honest, don't think we'll need it. Just hold it for a little bit. Beauty of Tammy extra thin, it does work really well. That gap's now gone there. As you can see, we've got a bit of molten plastic come out, which isn't always the best, but it does fill the gap. There's a little bit of a step which if I try and push it over, it does go a little bit. Those leading edges on those wings are absolutely beautiful. If you can see all on there, there's no gap there whatsoever. Fantastic. Now we do the other side. This is ready and we can start getting those intakes on. We can dry fit the nose, glue the nose, hump in, and that's just done for today. We'll be back next time, get the tail on. Elevators, the rudders. We just close this side up like we did the other. Got a few glue marks this side, but we can soon tidy that all up. Just going to give it a little bit of pressure because I want the edges to go like that. I think that's the best we're going to get that side. So we have got a little gap this side, just there. We've got a bit of excess glue which will polish off, not a problem. Add a little bit of detail back, a little bit of a gap there. I'm just going to hold that shut for a minute. The other side spot on, just this side's a little bit attention seeking, shall we say. So we'll settle on the fact of having a bit of filler in there. It's not a problem. Let's just make sure all these parts we've glued are in. We're happy with them. Get those pegs off there now. Make sure everything's where we want it, which we appear to be. Glued all along. Got digging glue inside there. Like so. Didn't do that one either. So you're going to need some filler here and there, but it's not going to need sanding because I'll put it in the Vallejo, the nice thin nozzle. It's a case of before it dries, use a moist cotton bud. To give it a whirl. There we go. Leave that peg on there for a minute if it's going to stay on. It might not. Right, so I've got intakes. I'm going to pick up the wrong side again knowing me, which I haven't. I've got the right one. So as before, I actually think we may leave those off till they're dry. So we can get all this sanded. I think we will. To be honest, put that on the right way. It may be better just putting that on there. Actually forms a part of that. Okey-doke, so we'll glue this in. Like I say, hopefully, I hope it does. In fact, what we'll use is we'll use the touch and float because we've got some nice seams down there. Hopefully don't spill it. I got to tell how about knocking the bottle over for some reason. I was excited. It's a little bit of a faff using this, but the end result, it's probably truly worth using. Beyond a shadow of a doubt. Sure we've got some glue in there, which we have. Make sure our fingers are dry, which they are. So we've got about 2 inches of glue. Just run it down the edge. Like so. Trickier when There's nothing to physically follow other than the power line. And once again, invisible panel lines, superb. I think for the front there, they'll use a bit extra thin. Just get it behind. And give it a little light clamp. A little bit of molten glue to take care of. We'll get that with a sander in a little bit. But right down the edges, a little bit there, it needs a little bit more. Like so. And hopefully, put the glue back on there. We can get this in. Like so, without disturbing anything. There we go. So that's set, then we'll tidy up this at the back. There's a little bit of excess plastic screws out, make sure that's in. There it is, and that pops back out, so that's great. That saves us running the risk of damaging that cockpit which took so long, well I took so long doing. All around the edges we're done, leading edges we're done. These front seams, this side is almost perfect. This side is going to need a little bit of filler. Not the end of the world though. That leading edge is great. Under section of the wings I find it needs a little bit of glue there. Like so. Where was that bit there? It was there, wasn't it? And make a mental note, just put a little bit of a blob where the ailerons and the flaps meet in the middle of the wing. Give it a little bit of a press, just so they get the support. And there we go. So, what time are we on? We're on 45 minutes, so that's going to be about us hoping to get these on. So what I might do is I might do them off camera and come back in 2 minutes. So, back in 2 minutes and I'll have these glued in position. Okay, so there's the intakes on. What we did, we tidied up where we glued them before, around here. We glued them in position using a combination of the Flexifile Touch and Flow, the needle vial, and Tamiya Extra Thin. We've also tidied up a little bit of these seams. Let me get you where you can see, sorry. A few of these seams along here and along the leading edges, just to see where we need some filler, which is just at the front here. And the same there as well. This actually needs sanding a bit more, there's a bit more of a lip. So we'll sand those off, get them filled, tidy these up. You can see the excess glue marks there, slipped a little bit if I'm honest with the Extra Thin. Fill those little gaps there and there, and we're not looking too bad. There's a little bit of gap in there compared to that side. I actually sanded that side because this fitted better here. I didn't touch it. So it was just one of those things. There's a little bit of filler needed there as well. I'll show that in a minute. So a little bit of a gap there, a little bit of a layer of filler in it, wash it off. But the intakes look well. I'll just get some paint down there. They don't look too bad at all, better than seeing the old seam line that you could. The gap I was talking about just then is there, as you can see. So I've got a bit of a Vallejo thinner in filler. The reason I keep saying the Vallejo, because it's got the little nozzle on it so you can get it right in where you need it as it falls off the shelf. And that's it, so they're all ready to go. I'm going to let it all dry and then we'll tidy it all up. I'll get all these seams, leading edges filled. I haven't touched the back at all, it is filled but glued. But we'll tidy it all up, get it filled where it's needed, and then we'll come back for part 6, ready to go. Like I say, the nose cone just slot in. So just needs a little bit of push on that rear bit, and in she goes. So there we are, we zoomed out here, we seem awfully close. Let's take the light up a little bit. There we go. As you can see, looking a bit better now. Getting that distinctive F-15 shape. Along the edges, down here, that seems nice, as too is that one. Underneath, it needs a little bit of manipulation, but again, it shouldn't be too bad once we get extra thinned in. Plan to leave this off as long as possible. We get these avionic doors on, get the nose on, get the canopy on, then we'll put it in, glue it in position last, because it makes it a bit hard to manhandle around. I think I've dropped a bit of glue there as well, a little spot, so we get that off as well. So I'm going to let this dry overnight, get that out, clean it all up, get anything filled that needs filling, sanded, etc., polished, and we'll come back a week or so for part 6, I think it'll be. I think it's part 5. Oh, I forget what part I'm on. I do that many videos and builds, I forget. And hopefully after that part, we'll be near enough ready for primer. Exactly the same as the F4 Corsair. If you've been following that build, the next video, which I'll be doing shortly after this, is getting that ready for primer. So getting to the exciting bit, the bit I like, which is painting. So this would be nice to paint. Quite a nice simple scheme on this, just two-tone. Some nice freehand camo scheme for it. But there we go, once we get the old nose in it, it's getting that distinctive look of an F-15. It's going to be quite a big bird, quite surprising. Once you get those two vertical stabilisers, I keep calling them horizontal lately, I don't know why. Once you get the horizontal stabilisers on, vertical stabilisers on, it will get the distinctive shape for sure. So there we go, so that's us for today. If you don't like the way this has been filmed, let me know, because I did plan ahead, and that's why we got it really in, well, 2 little segments. If you don't like that, if you found it a bit boring, please let me know in the comments. If you like it done a bit differently, if you'd like to see a bit more what's being done. I just find it a bit boring for you guys to sit there and watch me glue individual bits together, so hopefully being prepared like this makes it a bit more interesting, and we get a bit more done, because like I say, we've got the fuselage on, the intakes done, you know, we got a bit more done than I would have if it had been gluing all the intakes together, etc, etc. So hopefully that's it. So there we go. So I'll be back very soon. Paul Fantastic Scale Modeler. Take care, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys on the forums.